Hello class, welcome to 3.5 where we're going to solve some equations using integers. Now we're going to use the division property of equality. If you remember in chapter 2 we said that if A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C, or A minus C equals B minus C. We either added C to both sides or subtracted C to both sides. It's the same thing with multiplication and division. So if we said A times C, that will equal B times C. Or if we divided both of them by C, A divided by C equals B divided by C. If we're doing the exact same thing to both sides of the equal sign, then everything's going to stay equal. So, knowing that, let's say we have x plus 4 equals 8. What we always want to do is whatever the opposite of whatever the sign is to get x all by itself. So here, it's x plus 4. Opposite of plus is minus. So we're going to say minus 4 to both sides, and we get x equals 4. If we want to check ourselves, we'll put this 4 into the x, and 4 plus 4 does equal 8. If we had 3 plus x equals 9. Some people get thrown when the x isn't first, but it doesn't matter. This 3 is a positive, so we're going to say minus 3. And we know that we're going to subtract because we have a plus in between here as well. So minus 3, we're going to get x equals 6. To check, we can put the 6 in for x. 3 plus 6 does equal 9. And here we can just say 4 plus 4 equals 8, or 3 plus 6 equals 9. And those are both correct. Alright, so let's say that we have 5x equals 15. So this means 5 times x. So what's the opposite of times? It's going to be divide. So we're going to divide this by 5 and this by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and we're left with 1x equals 15 divided by 5 is 3. To check that, we can just put this 3 into the original. 5 times 3 equals 15. And yes, 15 does equal 15. So we got that right. Next, let's do one where we're dividing. X divided by 12 equals 3. So dividing, the opposite is multiplying. So we're going to multiply this side by 12 and this side by 12. So here we're going to get 12x over 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1. So we're just left with 1x equals 3 times 12 is 36. To check, we'll put the 36 in for x. 36 over 12 equals 3. 36 divided by 12 is 3. And 3 equals 3, so we got that right. Okay, so those are some basic ones. Now let's look at if we have a negative x. Negative x equals 15. We want to know what x equals, not what negative x equals. So if you ever have something that ends up like this, divide both sides by a negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is using two of the concepts that we had. Anything divided by 1 is just itself, and negative divided by negative is positive. So this becomes x equals, we have a positive divided by negative, so we're going to get negative, and it's divided by 1, so it's just that number, negative 15. And if we want to check ourselves, we would say negative of negative 15 equals 15, and negative times negative is positive, so we got that right. That's how you would check those. So let's do one that has a little bit more. Say we have negative 2x equals 6. So we have a negative number in front of the x, so we're going to divide by that whole thing, the negative 2. Divide both sides by negative 2, we get x. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is just 1. We're left with x. 6 divided by negative 2 is going to be a negative, because positive divided by negative is negative. 6 divided by 2 is 3. To check, we're going to say negative 2 times negative 3 equals 6. Negative times negative is positive. 2 times 3 is 6, and that equals 6. Let's say we have x over negative 9 equals negative 8. So we're dividing by a negative number here, so we're going to multiply by the negative 9. So negative 9 divided by negative 9 is just 1. We're left with 1x. Negative 8 times negative 9 is going to be a positive 72. To check, we're going to say 72 divided by negative 9 equals negative 8. Positive divided by negative is negative, and it's negative 8 equals negative 8. So we got that right. Next, let's say that we have something that has more to it. 5 minus 7x equals negative 9. So this one has both a multiplication and a subtraction. So to solve these, basically what we're going to do is do PEMDAS backwards. So now we're going to do the adding and subtracting first. But what we're going to do first always is collect like terms on each side of the equal sign. Then we're going to add and subtract all the non-variables. And that's to get x by itself. All the x's on one side, all the numbers on the other, and then 3 multiply or divide the coefficient. Okay, so we don't have like terms on this side or this side, so we can skip that. So now we're going to add or subtract the non-variables. Here it was a plus 5, so we're going to say minus 5 to both sides. And we have 5 minus 5 is 0. We're left with negative 7x equals minus negative 9 minus 5, which is we're going to keep the negative and add, so we get 14. Negative 9 minus 5 is the same as saying 0 minus 9 minus 5. That's how some people do it. But remember, we have two negatives, so we're going to add them and keep the sign. Then we're going to divide by everything in front of the x, and we have a negative 7. So negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1, and we left with x. Negative divided by negative is positive, and 14 divided by 7 is 2. We can check that by putting the 2 in for x, so 5 minus 7 times 2 equals negative 9. We do the multiplication first, so 5 negative 7 times 2 is going to be minus 14 equals negative 9. We have opposite signs here, so we're going to subtract big number minus small number and keep the sign of the big number. So 14 minus 5 is 9. Keep the negative with the 14 as we have negative 9 equals negative 9, and we got that right. All right, so you'll also have some word problems here. And one of them is going to be something like you get a bill for $1,304. $485 of that is for parts, and the labor equals $63 per hour, and it's asking how many hours. So we know that we're going to add parts plus labor equals the total bill, and we want to know how many hours there are, and that's going to be our x, is hours. But we know that every hour is 63. So we're going to say 63x plus the parts is plus 485 equals 1304. So we're going to do it just like we did before. First, we're going to add or subtract if we need to. We have a plus 485, so we're going to subtract 485 from both sides. we're going to be left with 63x plus 485 minus 485 is 0. That's equals 1304 minus 485 is 819. Then we're going to divide both sides by 63. We have 63 divided by 63, which is 1x. And we'll do this with long division. 63 into 819. 63 won't go into 8, but it'll go into 81 one time. 1 times 63 is 63. 81 minus 63. We have 11 minus 3, which is 8. 7 minus 6, which is 1. Carry the 9. 63 will go into 189 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 6 is 18. 0 remainder. So our answer here is 13. So it took 13 hours to do this. So again, what we have here is our total bill is $1304. The breakdown is $485 for parts, and the labor is $63 per hour. We want to know how many hours. So it's going to be 63 times the number of hours plus 485 for the parts equals 1304. Subtract 485 from both sides, we get 63x equals 819. Divide both sides by the 63 so that we have x, just 1x, equals, and 819 divided by 63 is 13. And that is it for section 3.5. So for the, to get credit for this, what I want you to do is give me the steps of solving a problem. And those, let me find them, are here, where we collect like terms, and we add and subtract the non-variables, and then we multiply or divide the coefficient, and we add or subtract depending on what was there. We're just always going to do the opposite.